man. And we're back. Man, welcome back everybody to another week, another episode of Black Friday, where these opinions are not for sale. My name is Christian. We got Chris, and we got our special guest here, Sadiq. Sadiq, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Thanks for being on.
Totally. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, before we hop into it and everything, probably have a lot of people here that don't know who you are. If you wanted to introduce yourself, just give a little bit of info, if you don't mind. That'd be great.
Yeah. As you heard and as you can see, my name is Sadiqa, and I am born and raised in San Diego, California. I'm 26. Total beach person. I do like talking about politics. I love fashion. And I met Christian actually at SAS. I met his sister, and then I met Christian at the Student Action Summit in West Palm Beach in this past December. So thanks for inviting me to your show, to you guys' show.
Oh, thanks for hopping on. A little bit of short notice, but we appreciate it and everything. It was good seeing you again at CPAC. I was walking around and I looked. I'm like, I think that's her. I couldn't be sure. I saw you taking, you're getting photos like a celebrity, like paparazzi, man. Everybody thought you were up there glowing. I was like, man, everybody getting a photo. I'm like, okay. And that
was kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty cool.
Celebrity status. Yeah, no, thanks for being on. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, it's something that we like to do each week, bringing new people on, going through everything going on. Big news. One of the first things, well, not the first thing, but it was like the biggest thing this week was Greg Abbott officially opening up Texas, saying there's no more restrictions. Everything can go back to 100% and just live life normally. And first thing I did after that happened, I went to Twitter because I knew Twitter was where it was going. And
of course,
a lot of different opinions up on there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think, Chris? Because I have a different train of thought here. Actually, I feel like I have a different train of thought from like everybody else. I feel different about this.
I mean, I'm happy that they're getting rid of the mandate. And the beautiful thing about getting rid of the mandate is if you still want to wear a mask, you can. Please continue to do so if you would like. You are your own person. But I feel like a lot of conservatives and people on the right are celebrating when we need to remember this was 15 days to slow the spread. We are almost a year past that. And now some states are coming back and saying, okay, we're gonna open back up. This was definitely an infringement on our rights. This was total government control this last year that businesses were forced to close. I feel like a lot of people kind of forgot that, and they're just kind of taking this good news and saying that, okay, well, all is forgiven. Thank you, Greg Abbott, run for president now. Like, no, I think we need to remember that this Greg for the last year was totally in with this. He didn't go full California, full New York, throwing old people and sick people all into the same place. But he's definitely not innocent. Other states that resisted lockdown, I feel like those are states that should be celebrated. Those governors should be celebrated. I mean, I'm happy that he's getting rid of it. Same with what's the other state? Mississippi, I believe. Getting rid of theirs. That's something that we could celebrate, but at the same time, in that next election, we should remember these people held us in lockdown. I don't know exactly Texas or Mississippi how they did it, but there were still mandates. There were still lockdowns. They were still going against the people, and that was government control. And, I'm not a big fan of government control. We've talked about that in the past. So, I'd be interested to hear, what do you guys think about it? Because I feel like, it's something maybe we shouldn't throw a party just yet.
Christian, I can go either way.
I can. I was going to let you weigh in. I mean, I agree with Chris here. And the biggest thing is that I'm not thrilled with Greg Abbott. He locked the state down. He forced a lot of people to lose their livelihoods permanently. He waited till now to go ahead and do this. It should have been done much sooner. He caved to the mob multiple times, and now he's finally sticking up, and everybody wants to pat him on the back. I'm not going to pat him on the back. It should have been done a long time ago. I come off as being mean and everything here. It's way past the fact. These people have lost everything and it's way past. And now it's, yeah, well, it should have been done so long ago. I can't just sit back and act like he just did one of the greatest things in the world. Everybody else should have done this a long time ago. You know, Florida for the most part still open, but unless you're in the bottom 3 counties like I am in Miami-Dade, but there should have never been a lockdown instituted. They should have never made, you know, mandatory mask mandates, and everything should have been at 100% capacity the whole time. And now the fact that, hey, we just gave you back your freedom, thank us, like, that's not how this works. That really isn't supposed to work. And that's why I'm not totally thrilled. And anybody that's, you know, seen the drastic effects of this, that have, you know, actually, like, you know, had a job through the pandemic, working class people, they should be kind of fed up. And I hope that they are.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I actually didn't think about that part quite actually, but I agree with you guys saying that, you know, all of a sudden after a year has gone by, we should be giving all the praises to the governors. And when you put it that way, I think that's a good point. And I also want to bring in another thought that sometimes, well, now that I'm seeing that these governors are doing that, now these governors have never ever have gone as drastic as California. And I'm from California, so I've been here throughout the whole thing. And our governor has, I think, been the most drastic out of all of them. Christian, you know this too. And like, but do you think, and I think you guys can, you know, comment on this. Do you guys think that people are seeing what's happening in California with the recall, and maybe these governors are like, whoa, we don't want that to be us. So if they're doing this in California, then what if, you know, Governor Abbott and whoever else are thinking, okay, we have to make sure that we give the people what they want. So let's just open up all of a sudden, because Governor Newsom, he's on the line right now. His title is definitely on the line.
I think not necessarily Abbott, or I believe the governor of Mississippi is Tate, something, I forget his last name, but I don't think they're necessarily in the same boat as Newsom. I think other Democrat governors who are loosening restrictions, and I'm from Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, she's somewhat loosening restrictions. She's kind of been like a total Nazi this last year, and keeping all the power to herself, but she has loosened restrictions. I think other Democrat governors have as well, such as in the Rust Belt and the Midwest. But I think the reason is it's going to be Memorial Day soon. If you continue to keep your state on lockdown, when we get back into the warmer months, you will not be reelected. You will not be reelected. And that people, even Democrats are sick of this lockdown. There are a lot of Democrats who are like, I'm cool with it. Like, let's just go back. Let's go back to normal. COVID be damned. Let's continue. Like, people want to go back to their lives. I feel like Democrats are definitely kind of fearful of the mob that's going against Newsom right now, because the same can happen in their states. I feel like in Republican states, they're a little safer. I think Greg Abbott and whatever his name is, Tate in Mississippi, I think they're pretty safe on that.
I just looked this up because I had to be sure, and it makes a lot of sense now, is that Greg Abbott's up for re-election within this next year.
Mm-hmm.
He's up for re-election within this next year. So now he goes ahead and opens everything up. I'm not fooled, and I think that's totally a political game now, and I'm absolutely disgusted. I think it's awful. You know, I thought he was legit and everything, but he bent over for the mob. He let them do whatever they wanted, shut it down. And now that he's going to be up in 2022, lockdowns are increasingly unpopular among the American people and aren't a great thing to run on for an election. It's not. It's really not. It's really very, very unpopular. Like, many people think, unlike the Twitter world, just mask up and stay home. The actual real world, the people that work actually want to go out and live their lives. So the Twitter world doesn't translate to votes, and the real working American people do. Greg Abbott, I'm not fooled. I'm not fooled.
Yeah.
He's up for re-election. He's going to be doing everything he can now to be in everybody's good graces and to get things right. You know.
Right. And of course, Newsom did the same thing. Like, we were in a lockdown and I live downtown San Diego, so I had free parking on parking meters because we were in a lockdown, which was the only positive thing that came out of this, by the way. And so I was literally we were just in lockdown, I think, mid-January. So he noticed that the recall numbers were reaching close to that threshold, which was 1.5 million. We were encroaching on that number really quickly. And all of a sudden, you know, he just, okay, you can dine out again. Okay, you can do your services again. And it's just like, it's for me, it's been so transparent. I've been able to see right through all of this from the beginning, but I'm glad to just be amongst people who can also see that this was all a scheme, not to say that COVID's not real, but just the way that it's been handled has been very questionable, very questionable.
Beyond questionable, total
Yeah.
political scheme and not backed by science whatsoever.
Mhm.
No, especially when politicians violate their own rules that they pass, and that's Chris's biggest pet peeve. Mine as well. Honestly, I've had enough. I've had beyond enough.
Totally.
Go to French Laundry and go eat, $1,000 plates with your family.
Oh, man. And his businesses were the only ones that he was actually funding. He was supposed to allocate, I think, $3 million to small businesses in California, and he allocated them to his own wineries. If that's not a blatant slap in the face to Californians, I don't know what is. It's so disrespectful, and it just lets you know, like, you say one thing, right? You don't follow it, and then you act like you care about it, about the people, but you just don't. You care about your lining your own pockets. And it's like, money's not bad, but the love of money is bad, right?
Yeah, it's these politicians, they are awful, disgusting. COVID has been a clear example of this. A disease where 99% of the people who get it are A-okay. And even if you want to argue that long-term effects, there's been no scientific evidence that there are negative long-term effects. There has been instances of people losing their sense of smell, having a long-lasting cough, losing their sense of taste. But other than that, I mean, there's been no evidence on that. It's been a lot of like, well, I've had this, I've had this, I've had that. And we also had our flu cases go from a year before COVID, go from 6 figures, over 100,000 a year, to 27 in a year. Are you kidding me? That is straight BS. There's no way that's happened. You know what it is? You go in and say, my elbow hurts. They're going to say, oh, it's COVID. Got to go on lockdown. Like, everything has been COVID. It has been mass hysteria. And I love doctors. I love science. I love that. But the doctors calling the shots, they're all bureaucrats. They're all making money off this. You think Fauci is like all in it for what's best for the American people? No, he didn't know. He was saying no masks, then he was saying 1 mask, then no masks, then 2 masks. He sounds like Dr. Seuss, and they canceled him. So, it's ridiculous. I'm getting fed up with these politicians. My governor is awful, disgusting, and all she did, she banned boating, and then her husband tried to get his boat out, and they were like, no, they banned boating, and he's like, oh, but I'm the governor's husband. Like, just because you're the first lady of the state, man, doesn't mean you get privileges. So it's really. I hate politicians. If you couldn't tell, I hate them. They're all disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane, the fact where they're like, maybe if you ask nicely, we'll give you your freedoms back, and we the people actually take that and say, okay, yeah, that's fine. And it's downright just terrible. I mean, I'm beyond the point here. We're at CPAC, and everybody has to be masked up based on the county ordinance. Why don't they just tell the county to buzz off and mind their own business? And then what happens? Because I was there, we talked to the sheriff's department there the whole time. They didn't seem to be enforcing anything. And if the sheriffs aren't enforcing it, then you can do whatever you want. So I was very confused there. I'm like, who's running this and who's in control? And the longer this goes on, is the longer they're going to keep everybody down and under. So. I don't like playing the game anymore. I'm past it.
Yeah, see, I wasn't at CPAC, but didn't DC Drano and Fleckers get kicked out because they weren't wearing their masks?
I saw DC Drano did. I don't know about Fleckers, but I saw Drano did. He definitely made a scene. Can't say that he didn't want to, so I mean, he got what he wanted. But yeah, no, he definitely got kicked out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. Like, I don't know how strict it was at CPAC. Like I said, I wasn't there, but I saw that he got kicked out, and then he like posted all about it.
Yeah, I didn't really see much
it was
of
very
it.
strict. It was strict. Like, it was getting to the point where if you pulled it down for like a second just to talk to somebody, then the people who are like the monitors would be like, put your mask back on. And you're like, whoa. So you put it back on and you pull it down again. And they're there like peeking around the corner. It was over the top. This is over the top.
Yeah.
But I have a question, you guys. Sorry, I have a question. And maybe you guys don't know because you guys don't think this way, but I'm trying to understand, like, what is it that people want? Like,
to be taken
the
care
people
of.
who are very, very, very pro-masks, the people who are, you know, still yelling at people because they want to go out to eat and whatever. Okay.
They want to be taken
but
care
it's like,
of.
but help me find the logic though.
Yeah.
Help me find their logic though, because I want to, and I've been trying to. The only time I've had a conversation with like this is really on Twitter, because I haven't gotten this specific about it besides anyone but my family. Anyway, and you guys now. So like, what? Help me find their logic. So, how long do you think they want us to wear masks for? Like, is it until everybody gets vaccinated? Like, what is the logic? How long do you want to stay home for? And are you waiting for a green light, like this huge, big green light to say, all right, guys, it's over. Let's resume. Like, I feel like they're waiting for that. And I can just like sadly say that's not going to happen. I just don't foresee this big green light for everyone to finally feel comfortable. You know what I mean? To resume their lives again.
They don't think for themselves, so that's the first problem. The second is they do everything that Anthony Fauci says. So I'm surprised they haven't built him a shrine and knelt before him and praised his name. So that's where I'm seeing that. And these people, they don't want to be free. They want to be taken care of. They want to have some false sense of security. They wear double masks because it makes them feel better about themselves. It has nothing to do with the truth, has nothing to do with anything. But if they feel good about themselves, they continue to do it. Why do we stray away from new things and trying out different ideas? Because it's unfamiliar. That scares us. Okay, cool. It's unfamiliar, whatever. And then we just take things at face value from people that don't care about us, and that leads us to where we're at now. It was 2 weeks, and then it was okay until the numbers go down. Okay, there's going to spike again, so you have to keep going. Okay. Have the vaccine. Okay, we got the vaccine. No, you still have to wear a mask with the vaccine. Okay, you have to take a second dose of the vaccine.
Right.
Okay. Mask now. Okay, we might have to wear a mask until 2022. It just keeps going. It keeps going. It's not
the goalpost.
Yeah, the goalposts move. They move. They never stop moving. And people are okay with that. People are actually okay with that, or they try to act like they are. I don't know anybody with a reasonable mind that's just totally fine with it. But sure,
yeah.
It's scary though.
The thing is, you say, where's the logic? There is no logic on that side of the aisle. And I'm not saying the right is perfect. No. But this with COVID, there is no logic to it. This is a disease that should not have halted our entire country for not even the country, the world for 1 year. It was mass hysteria. It was just people being scared. And humans, we're all people. We get scared with things like this. And I won't lie, in the beginning, I was also scared. And then when the numbers started coming out, like, okay, well, actually, if you are not 70 and have asthma, you're probably going to be cool with it. Like, you'll be fine.
Right.
And that's when I was like, okay, why? And I was working a minimum wage job during COVID. That was not fun. I worked in a kitchen. People would be like, why aren't you wearing a mask? Because it's 95 degrees back there. I'm not wearing a mask. If I'm going to catch COVID, we're going with it. Like, it'll be in your hamburger. Like, just leave it. People are just, like Christian said, they want to be taken care of. They can't think for themselves. They want to be coddled. It's the same people want $15 minimum wage. They want their school paid for them by Uncle Sam. They can't do anything for themselves. It's like having a bunch of kids. Like, and I have a kid. Like, my kid, I feel like my kid's 4 months and is a little more less dependent than some of these people want to be paid for it. Yeah, I do. And it's God. Well, thank you, but these people on the left, they want their diapers changed, and it's I don't know who's changing it because I'm not.
That's hilarious.
No,
but like, I really do. Like, one day you guys should have somebody, and I don't know, maybe you wouldn't want to do this, but somebody who's just so far left should have them on the show, because I just want to hear like somebody's logic, or maybe you guys aren't trying to get to that heated because. I don't know, but I just need to understand, like, what is, like you said, there's no logic, but like, has anyone been able to articulate like what they believe the end goal here, what the end game is.
Well, we could ask that for this. We could ask the end game for everything else. Systemic racism, reparations. What's the end goal there? Diversity. Like all these things that they want to implement. Like, what's the end goal of these things? What's the end goal of any of this crap? Other than to feel good about yourself. What is the end goal of all this? I just want to know what the end goal of all this nonsense is. Everything that they want to implement. What is the end goal? Because I don't see an end goal in sight, and there's just going to lead to more miserable people. I just think it leads to more miserable people being very unhappy with what they have and looking to blame somebody else and just wanting to be taken care of. That's all I see. That is literally all I see. And speaking of the $15 minimum wage, Chris brought it up. The Democrat senators themselves defeated Bernie Sanders on the $15 minimum wage. Kyrsten Sinema put the nail in the coffin. It was pretty funny if you haven't seen the video of Kyrsten Sinema just doing a big thumbs down and then just dipping out of the Senate floor, just leaving. She just made out like a bandit, just left. She just said, no. The $15 minimum wage. And it's very interesting. I don't know if you guys know, in Florida went red in 2020. It went red. Basically down in most part. We made ground on House seats, did well, and Trump won the state of Florida. But the $15 minimum wage gradual increase in like 2026, I believe that passed. So by like 2026, Florida is going to be at $15 minimum wage. And I'm still confused on how this happened. If it went red down the ticket, yet we still voted yes on a minimum wage. I don't know how it happened. But this is now it's national conversation. Now they're all talking, it's the Biden administration. They promised $2,000 checks, $15 minimum wage. What else? I don't know. They're getting rid of the migrant detention facilities.
$50,000 student loan forgiveness.
And
I just where's all this money coming from?
My pocket, your pocket,
all
our
right.
pocket.
It just seems like they're just but they're just printing all these dollars, and it's like, whoa, what's going to happen?
Yeah, and I think the reason is that it didn't pass was because there's certain senators in certain red states, or at least moderate states that realize that a $15 minimum wage is going to kill their economy and destroy any chances they have of getting reelected. And they also might understand basic economics, which is also a good thing. I applaud it. Hey, basic economics, and you're in the Senate. Hey, you can only hope. So it didn't pass, and I for one think it's fantastic. Oh, we got comments here, Chris. You got to remind me here.
I wasn't even looking. Whoops.
Got to remind me here. Man, control is a goal. Control is always the goal. Never let a crisis or tragedy go to waste. Never let a crisis or tragedy go to waste. Forcing the masses to be subservient all the time. Charlie, thanks for tuning in, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, and the people that are screaming for a $15 minimum wage are people our age.
Yeah.
And these unfortunately are people.
The millennials.
It is, and there's people, and unfortunately, there are people that don't have skin in the game. I'm talking about people that don't own things, that they still rent everything. They don't have. Maybe they don't invest in the stock market. They don't own a business. They don't have some sort of equity. They don't have land. And they say, yeah, $15 minimum wage, go ahead and make it. But they're not in the position to understand the other side of it. And that's what I really think I'm seeing here with people our age, at least.
I think
that makes me like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. You go. You're the guest. You go.
Okay, I was just gonna say because we talked about. You said it's people our age asking for it, and it makes me wonder. I don't want to segue it quite yet if you guys aren't ready to, but it makes me wonder, is it true what, I guess the older generation is saying about millennials is, do we whine a lot? We expect, we just have all these demands, or is it really because the boomers failed us or whatever? You know what I'm saying? That whole argument with millennials and boomers,
absolutely. Oh, it's everybody's fault. But it's our fault for actually going along and believing it, but it's their fault for telling us that the world is ours and we deserve everything. And
you feel like they told us that?
Oh, I mean, when they run academia, they run the media industry, they run Hollywood, they run all every point of culture here, and they're telling us all these things. Mm-hmm. And then we believe it, and we go out there and realize, hey, this isn't how this all works. And we get mad. Yeah, it's our fault for that. But they told us this, They crashed the economy in 2008. It wasn't us that crashed the economy. It was them. They it wasn't us that ruined the institution of marriage and all these terrible things that happened in the 60s throughout. Now we're not the ones that, are college professors telling everybody how they deserve a free health care and everything else and how the rich people can just pay for it. We didn't just come up with this radical idea on our own. And that's all I got to say about that. I mean, it's pretty lame that we don't think for ourselves and realize this, but we're being fed this stuff from other people. And that's what I think about it. Oh, Chris, what do you think?
I can see that.
With the $15 minimum wage, what people don't really understand is all it does, it just takes those on the bottom and gets rid of them. Everybody else just gets more responsibility for less pay. It screws over everybody, especially the lower class, and they don't understand that. No one's going to pay you $15 an hour for fast food. I worked in fast food. You are not that special, sweetheart. I promise you, it is not worth it. I worked management in fast food. I did not make $15 an hour, and I did more than what the lower paid people did. I mean, you are not that special, and your work is not worth it. They would rather make people just have less people and automate things and make things easier and less expensive. These are corporations. These are massive corporations. They are going to cut corners. They're not here. The government can't force them to keep you employed. Well, I'm sure they could, but they're not going to, hopefully, But I mean, they don't understand. This is going to hurt Black people. This is going to hurt minorities. This is going to hurt people who have low-skilled jobs. And a lot of people in urban areas have low-skilled jobs. And you're not going to be able to afford to pay people $15 an hour for food service, for retail, for any of these low-skill minimum wage jobs. It's not worth the money, especially in states that $15 an hour is expensive. I think the minimum wage in Texas is $7.25. In some of the more rural states, it's $7, $8. In Michigan, I believe it's $9.25. So that's a big jump. People from California, New York, and basically those two states, they're the loud ones talking about we need $15 minimum wage because your states are expensive. I have a full-time job. I'd have a tough time living in California. I have a tough time living in New York. I wouldn't be able to afford it. And so it doesn't matter how much you get paid. Everything else is still, it's just economics. If for anyone watching, if you believe in a $15 minimum wage, please pick up a book and read something because you might need to.
What do you recommend? Because I wanna better understand economics. Do you have any recs? I want to legitimately understand why things shouldn't be passed and why things should be passed. You know what I'm saying? What do you recommend?
Well, for what I used to do is I am not so much a reader. I like to watch videos. I liked watching Thomas Sowell a lot. I watched a lot of things. That's somebody I would say check him out. I like him. I mean, really any conservative you can watch, and they've hit this point. Ben Shapiro has probably hit this point. Steven Crowder, I'm sure they've all talked about this. But if you want books, then I would recommend probably Thomas Sowell. He's a great author. He is great. I just think he's a brilliant man. And he talks about economics a lot. If you want to get on the economic side of things.
Yeah, and I've seen his videos on YouTube, and I've seen that he's written a lot of books on economics.
Yeah, I'm reading Knowledge and Decisions for the last 3 years. I just haven't, got really to it.
Is that by him?
Yeah. Knowledge and Decisions, Thomas Sowell. It's good. Milton Friedman's also really good. He's really good for economics. Thomas Sowell goes more into, in a sense of why different ethnic groups perform at different rates and what the real explanation for wage gaps and differences really are. And it's not discrimination or anything. And he explains how things go with education, and he really outlines it really well. I think Thomas Sowell and Milton Friedman are good bets there. And back to the $15 minimum wage, I saw on Twitter some people there mean well, and some people are just looking for clout. And this person was looking for clout, so they said, "Oh, so it's a $15 minimum wage if they work 40 hours a week and 52 weeks a year, then they're making $31,200. Why are you pressed about somebody that's going to make $31K in a year? Why you guys care?" But in reality, it looks great on paper, but they don't know that you're not working 40 hours. You're probably working 20 some hours, and then eventually you're going to get replaced by a machine, and then you get laid off. and then you make less money than you did when you started, and then you get nothing. But they live in the fantasy world and they want to believe it, and I feel bad because it'd be fantastic if we could pay everybody $15 an hour. Not like I don't want to.
Yeah.
You can't force people to do that. You can't just put a gun on somebody's head and say you have to pay them that much based upon what? If you sign a contract and agree to it, then you go fulfill your end of the contract. That's what we signed for. And so and like Chris says, it's going to hurt low skilled workers. It's not. These jobs aren't made to be full time. They're meant for somebody to start here and then work their way up and go somewhere else. Not forever.
When you guys say it's going to hurt like low skilled workers, like, do you mean because at some point the company is going to go bankrupt, or like why does that hurt low skilled workers?
Because they're going to get replaced by something that's going to be more cost efficient. More kiosks will be implemented, grocery stores, fast food places, anywhere else they see that they can, save some change on that they don't.
Or like how cashiers are literally all. I feel like there's a local Walmart about 5 miles from here, and I swear there's literally only 3 lines left with cashiers. The rest are all self checkout. So you mean like that? How we're moving into that? Okay.
Yeah. Also, those low skill workers, if they are kept, which probably like 9 out of 10 of them won't. That one that is, their responsibility is going to go from this at the current minimum wage to this. And they're going to have so much more work on their hands. Companies will they'll work you to make it work
for every dollar.
Paying you $15. And I don't think people understand that. They're like, I'm still going to be able to flip this burger. I'm going to be able to listen to my phone and, have a good time working at McDonald's. Nope, that's not going to happen. A lot of you will get fired. A lot of you will lose your jobs. And those that are left are only going to be those that are performing the most. They're going to cut costs. And then also your Big Mac's going to cost $10. So, we'll see on that. Hopefully it never gets passed.
And corporations could pay this much. A lot of them could. They could pay $15 an hour. Should they? That's a moral question. Should they be required to? That's a morality question there. But small businesses, most of them can't foot that bill just off the top. They don't. Based on the employees that they have and the wages that they pay them and all this cost that they incur, they're going to have to raise the prices of what they're selling, along with cutting the hours and possibly cutting their employees. And then on top of the $15 minimum wage, Bernie wants to make it so that they have to provide health care to all their workers as well. And that'll take everybody under. That'll take everybody under if you do that. There's going to be no small businesses left. And then you complain about America running everything. That's all that'll be left. Amazon may not like to spend it throughout this pandemic. Nobody wants to talk about that. They killed it in their quarterly earnings the past 3, They absolutely wrecked it. Because they kept open. Walmart, Amazon was going crazy, and all those big corporate businesses. But the small businesses, the local shops couldn't open, and they weren't allowed to. They weren't deemed essential. And that's that's where we're at. And now we're going to say $15 minimum wage as they're picking the pieces off the floor, trying to get their lives back together. You're going to kick them while they're down again.
Right. That's a really good point. Yeah. Yeah. Because if that's the case, they require everybody to be paid $15. That means that local sushi bar, like where waiters and people, waiters make very, very small hourly, but they make all their wages and tips. So it's like, if you make that hourly go up, it's like, man, like business owners, especially food industry, they cut corners as much as possible with food and everything, because they have to throw their food out every day. So like, it's gonna get weird if that passes. It's gonna get really weird.
I think what I like to do with any issue, I like to boil it down to just the bones of the argument and say, because this is where you could really see where people lie. And because we all, like Christian said, I want everyone to have a livable wage. I want everyone to be able to survive. I don't want to see people go hungry. That's the big heart in me. But the brain in me says the government can't force you to pay somebody $15 an hour for crap labor. And so to boil it down, it's like, does the government have the power to get in between you and whoever you have a contract with? Because that's what a job is. It's all it is an agreement. It's a contract. You are going to your employer or future employer and saying, I'm willing to do X, Y, and Z for, A amount of money. And then you do that. And then you can renegotiate later in the future as your experience goes up, as you've worked hard, as time goes on, and you can renegotiate and get more money. And that's no problem. I'm totally for it. Or even if you want to, without government intervention, start a union and you want to negotiate as a group with your employer and say, look, we're not going to work until you pay us this amount of money. I even think that's fine because that is still in the free market. That is completely fine. But the second you say the government should have the power to come in here and negotiate on my behalf, well, what if the government didn't have your interest at heart? Could the government come in and then negotiate against you? Well, are we okay with that? Are all these communists and socialists going to be cool with that if the government comes in on the behalf of corporations? No, they're not going to be fine with that. You have to look at it from both ways. The government never has your interest at heart. They may say they do, but they don't. So I think you just really have to ask yourself, does the government have the power, or should they have the power to regulate how much somebody can get paid, essentially? Which I think, personally, no. Minimum wage, cut it completely. There should be no minimum wage.
In a true free market, fantastic. Do we live in a true free market? No, unfortunately, cronyism runs rampant. Government cuts deals with corporations and businesses under the table that we don't know about. And then small businesses and people like us get cut out. And we wonder why. But we don't know about these things. They cut it hush hush. And they're all laid in crappy bills, like budgets getting passed and stimulus is getting passed and all these other bills that pass on the floor. Everybody thinks that this bill just means the one thing that it says, the Equality Act. Okay, well, they don't know all the crap and poison that's thrown in it for everything else. There's money being thrown here and thrown there and thrown here and thrown there. It's absolutely nonsense. So, yeah, no, there's always more to it than just one simple thing. So,
right.
It's dirty. It's a dirty game. Yeah. So, Dr. Seuss is canceled. Mr. Potato Head is done, but somebody emerged back on the back, and you can't cancel Donald Trump. I gotta say, he is still there, despite being kicked off the social media platforms. It's stronger than ever, and the people were out in full force. Sadiqa, you were there, right? You got to see him speak and everything.
Yeah, I watched it. Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
I watched him. I thought he made some very good points. I think Mr. Donald J. Trump, so he is not the most eloquent speaker, but at the end of the day, like, he makes a lot of sense. And I think in a time where we are very much so running off of emotions, it's really nice to hear logic. It's really nice to hear common sense. And I think that's what he brought to the convention. He brought a lot of common sense in his speech. And when you really look at everything that this current administration has reversed, like literally reversed, you really see just how crazy this current administration is. Like, what in the God's green earth? Like, I don't, what in the world? But yeah, I enjoyed his speech. I enjoyed it very much. I keep getting phone calls, but
man,
yep,
it's real popular up in here. They're still asking for photos. They still want those CPAC
they won't
photos.
stop.
Yeah.
I should have been like, on a podcast on Black Friday, not for sale. Can't talk now.
I'm talking. We're busy. I mean, being there, seeing that energy, man, it brought back those feelings that I hadn't felt in a minute. Not gonna lie, it's been a few months since I felt like, man, like, he came back and the first thing he says is, "Did you miss me?" And I'm like, man, like, this guy really did it. He had to come up there. Did you miss me? I'm like, oh, this guy. Right. Like, man, and the way he was talking, it is all but like kind of assuring that, we're gonna run the table here. We're gonna take back the House. We're gonna get those losers out, primary him. He dropped names, which I was very happy. I wanted him to drop names. He dropped Murkowski, Liz Cheney, Susan Collins. Who else? I'm trying to think. There's a few more. A couple others. A couple other rhinos out there supported impeachment, and
I recorded him, so I'll go back and watch it.
And he named names. I'm like, fantastic. And then he said, 2 years we're gonna take over the House, and 4 years we're gonna get one back the presidency. And then he says, I wonder who that'll be. And we're just like, all right, man, like, here we go. So, like, and that's the big question. Who is it going to be? Everybody, you know, I hear everybody, we want Ron DeSantis. We want Ron DeSantis. I'll tell you what, Ron DeSantis is a fantastic governor here in the state of Florida. He's done a great job. I want him to open up the rest of the state. He's given a little too much power here locally, and they're going tyrannical with it. So I think he needs to go swoop down and just cut it, you know, kind of more like Abbott did, but just, you know, overall just say no more. But I think Ron does a great job here in the state of Florida. I kind of don't want to lose him. And Ron isn't the most eloquent speaker. He's great handling the media, absolutely crushes the media. But when he gives speeches and everything, the energy is a bit different. I think he'd be fantastic as a running mate. I think he could even be a good president. But if Trump's on the table, if I'm Ron DeSantis, I wouldn't do it. Yeah, I might sit this one.
What about VP?
VP, Ron DeSantis, which I mean, that sounds like a great ticket to me. Honestly, I'd still be bummed about him losing Florida and having to put somebody else in, but I think that's a feasible ticket. You know, what did you get to hear Ted Cruz speak? Because I was too busy working the booth, but apparently the first thing he said was
with his Cancun thing.
Yeah, Cancun. Yeah.
What did he say? I didn't.
He said he's happy to be in Orlando, but it wasn't. He's like,
what did he say?
I thought that's what he said.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't get too much sit down time to watch the speakers because a lot of the speakers that I already saw at SAS. But I did see DeSantis. I saw, you know, President Trump. I saw just a few others, but I was mainly out just kind of like mingling, networking and stuff. So that's what I wanted CPAC to be for me this time around. But I did see a lot of those speakers in December. But but back to like who's running and everything. For me, like again, I love Donald. I don't know if America is ready to see him run again because they will lose their mind. And it's like, should he run again? Yes, but we have to think about it. In 2024, those 17-year-olds who were all, you know, going crazy, rioting in the streets, they're going to be able to vote in 2024. So we have a whole new generation that's going to be able to vote, which is kind of scary. But I just don't think they're ready. America's ready for him. I feel like he needs to maybe one of his proteges, but not him. That name, just when people hear it, I don't even know.
I feel like we're too far gone. Yeah, I know I hear you, but I feel like we're too far gone already. I feel like any Republican steps up to the plate, they're going to be thrown on the same exact level. Doesn't matter what it is. So at this point, I'm kind of like, you know, what's it matter? If that's the case. We're too far gone. But honestly, I don't think any of this matters unless we secure our election voting process. We can't verify that these things are done securely. So what's it matter if we're just going to go out there and do the same thing like 2020 again? Then why even show up? So that's that's another big thing is to make sure that the process is done right. We have to fix it.
I think that's the major point. We need to make sure that the process is legitimate. But I'm gonna have to disagree with you guys on this one. Trump should not run again. He lost. I'm sorry. I was a Trump fan. I liked him. I'm still a Trump fan. I liked what he did. I think he was a great president. But I don't think that I can't see him winning if he ran again. I just don't see it happening. Even if there was a legitimate election, it's going to be a whole new generation voting, and these young people are not fans of Donald Trump. It's not. I don't see him winning. They
don't vote though. That's the thing is, do they actually translate to vote? Do those people
did vote in the last election because they wanted Orange Man out. That's the whole reason they voted. There was record vote also because of the pandemic. So let me say that. So if there's mail-in voting in 2024, which hopefully there isn't, you should have to vote in person with an ID. If there is mail-in voting, then the Democrats will win, of course. And I'm sure they'll push for that. Maybe we'll still be in COVID by then. Hopefully not. But, you know, it's Democrats. I really personally think we need somebody new. And like you said, Christian, Ron DeSantis, he's great. I've watched some of his speeches. He doesn't have the same energy as Trump. That I can control the crowd. That's what I loved about Trump. He was so energetic. I watched him speak live before, and it's just like I was never a huge Trump fan. I liked him. I did. But I wasn't until I saw him speak in person. And I was like, this guy is a good person. I like him. He's very charismatic, and I do enjoy him, and I enjoyed him as president. I voted for him. But I think we do need a little bit of I think we need somebody new. Also younger. I do like younger people.
Yeah. I thought Matt Gaetz brought some good energy out there at CPAC on the stage. The CPAC kind of seemed a little bit dumbed down from Sass, but Matt Gaetz is always full of energy. I like the way that he was talking. I could see Matt Gaetz, shaking it up possibly if that were to be the case, but I don't think he touches it if Trump's in the ring. But also, Chris, who do you think from on the Republican ticket can pull in 75 million votes in this upcoming election?
That's the thing. We don't have
those votes. Who can do it? Who can do it then? Like it's one thing.
I think we can see possibly things changing. I mean, to be honest, there could be a new face in politics in 4 years. Well, honestly, it's going to be closer to like 2.5 that we don't know now. Somebody who could make a shakeup in the midterm elections. We don't know. I'm really like interested in seeing what happens in the midterms because then we'll be able to see what happens. I'm not sure. Is Ron DeSantis, is he up for election in the midterms or no?
Yeah, 2022 he'll be up.
Okay, so we'll see if he's how he does in his election. I'm sure he's going to win. And others, who might be up for election and see how they're doing because Joe Biden said he's not running for a second election. He's not running for a second term. He said that before he even was elected. We'll see if he keeps his promise. He hasn't with any of his other promises, but honestly, I don't know who would run. I mean, of course, I like Rand Paul. I do. I don't think he's going to get 75 million votes. He's just not as charismatic or bombastic as Trump was. But hopefully we can find somebody. Hopefully there's somebody out there. And really, I don't even think we need that many votes because I think we're going to go right back. There's no way you're going to get 80 million people to vote 2 elections in the same in a row. It's not going to happen.
Never say never, man. Don't say no. It could be 83 million next time. It could be 83 million. They could find more votes. They could just find more votes in the middle of the night.
And that's the thing. If we secure the elections, if it's a purely secured election, there's no way 80 million people are going to vote again in person. Please, for the love of God, no mail-in votes. But if it's in person, there's no way that many people are going to be voting. It's not going to happen. So I think that we're going to see voting rates going down, especially in 2022. Now, Orange Man is gone. Democrats are a little more calm. They can go back to wearing 4 masks at the supermarket. They're a little more relaxed. And then in 2022, that's when the Republicans are going to come out. We're going to knock it out in the election. We're going to take back hopefully something. We'll see because we'll have the votes. We're going to be the ones voting because we're the opposition. Those in power are lax. They're relaxed. They're going to say we don't need to vote. We're winning.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah. Now that he's gone, people are like every other election cycle. There's something that's always like a super big deal, right? In 2020, it was BLM riots. It was COVID. It was a lot of things. But now that A, Trump's gone, and B, maybe COVID will be gone, like it's I'm very curious to see what will be the new thing that people are going to be like about. So, but now that those things are gone, things probably will calm down. We probably won't see those same numbers like you were saying, but time will tell.
Something else will happen. Who knows what it'll be? There's going to be something burning in election year for some reason. So I mean, something's going to get hyped up right before because that's how it goes. So
right.
They never waste an opportunity for those things. So you just have to expect it. Things could be going so fantastic and so great, and then the world dies. So, it just happens. And I
think things were going fantastic before the pandemic hit. Like, honestly, when I look back at, can you remember life? Like, think about it. Like, I feel like 2020 was such a long, weird year. Can you even remember life like December 31st? Of 2019, prior, like it seems like a whole new world. Like that, like back then, it almost feels like it's so weird.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. February. I mean, 2020 started off fantastic, booming economy. He's getting impeached for BS nonsense. He crushes the impeachment. It's done. Then COVID hits, shuts down the world, shuts down our economy. Very unpopular, hurts him bigly. Then we start opening things up again. We start, gaining some traction. May hits, it's good. And then we have Ahmaud Arbery. We have George Floyd. We have riots. We have everything burning. Very, very bad. Right as we're making a lot of ground, we were just getting ready. We're outlaying the platinum plan for the Black community and having all these great things happen. And then we literally just burns and everything goes to crap. Everything went to absolute garbage, and that quick. It all went down. It all went down that fast. That's all it took. That's all it took. And that was literally all it took. All the ground and all the things that we had done that were made that were good went away. And so, anything can happen at any point in time. So I think, Republicans, everybody better be ready for the next 4 years. Something bad is going to happen right before the election time. They never waste a good time to drop something crazy happening. Who knows what it'll be, but it'll be there.
Right. So true. There always is something. And now that 2020 was so insane, like if people don't pick up on whatever comes next, I don't know what to say. I think at that point I would have lost hope in humanity. If you just can't see it by now, I don't know what to tell you.
Some people don't want to. Some people really don't want to be in reality.
Right.
That's why some people choose to unfortunately, be substance abusers. They choose to do this. They want to be out of reality. They don't want to be in the real world. Some people choose to believe politicians. They say that if you wear 3 masks, then things will go back to normal in a year and you might be able to go outside. Okay. Oh, some people just go ahead with it because it's easier for them. It's just easier for a lot of people. So
it is easier.
Yeah, it's easier to just smile and nod and say the government is going to treat me well and they're going to take care of me than to ask questions. Asking questions takes a lot of energy, a lot of effort that people don't want to do. They're stressed out because they got kids, they got a job, they're trying to pay their bills. But it's no excuse to be an idiot and give all the power to the government. When you give power to the government, very hard to get that power back. Don't think we're going to get it back. All of these powers that the government has, and I've said this before, if you've asked somebody 10 years ago, hey, do you think the government could shut down our entire economy? Probably not. I don't think so. I don't think people would be fine with that. Nope, people were cool with that. I mean, they resisted, but they were fined and they were continued or arrested or, plastered on social media as evil, a bigot, for wanting to continue being able to pay for their food and their homes and things. But we live in a completely unique world now. It's much different than where it was, like you said, in 2019. 2020, personally, for me, was a good year, but I know for a lot of people, it was a pretty rough year. A lot of people lost their jobs, lost family members. It was rough. So hopefully 2021 is a better year. Honestly, not starting out like it should, but maybe these next couple of months will be nice. It's getting warm out, so maybe we'll have a better time then.
How do you determine what makes a good year? For me, 2020, I recall being in the office at work and then all of a sudden our company's well, we're going to stay open because, we're not affected yet. And then all of a sudden it became mandatory. And then I just remember literally moving all my stuff back home and my laptop and everything. I was working remote, which I've been praying for way before the pandemic. I feel like remote work should have been a long time ago, but that's another story. But what do you think determines a good year for you personally? Or do you kind of base it based off of what the government is doing with policies and stuff?
Well, for me personally, I had a great year because I don't work at a crap job like I used to. Now I work for a wonderful organization. Mm-hmm. Love my job. It's an amazing job. I had a baby, which was amazing. I bought a house, which was amazing. I had a pretty good year in 2020. Oh, wow. Don't want to brag, but I had a good time. Now for the world, it was a rough year. If we're going to measure it based on world standards, a lot of people died. I mean, people die every year. But a lot of people died of COVID, or, you know, if you want to question that, you can. And a lot of people lost their jobs, lost their businesses, and that's very sad. And I do feel for those people, and my heart goes out to them. But personally, myself, I had a good year. It was a good year.
Yeah, I had a good year too. It sounds like you had a good year, but yeah, I had a good year too.
I'm glad to hear that you had a good year. Christian, I hope you had a good year in 2020.
Yeah.
It wasn't the greatest, but I'm not gonna say it was like act like it was bad. A lot of people had it worse than I did, you know.
Right. Perspective. Exactly.
Yeah, it was a good year. Got promoted. I mean, I got to move down to Miami. Even though it was all shut down, I still got to move down to Miami. Not too many people get to move to Miami for work and just, you know, kind of have it like that. And I got to travel a lot more in 2020.
How is that? Maybe we'll talk about that later, but how is that?
It's different. You know, people don't know, like, the further south you go in Florida, the more like north it is. I mean, it's like it's a major metro area. Like, it's just all different types of people down there. Considered like North Florida is more like the deep south. Like South Florida is not. Like, they're not like that at all. So it's really, really different. It's unique. A lot of different people out there, but it's great. And I can walk to the beach from my apartment. It's really, really neat. Love it. So it's pretty cool. You know, good year though. I mean, yeah, it was a good year. I gotta act like it was bad or nothing. I mean, just it sucked. I mean, it wasn't cool not being able to go out and just do things that you normally do every day because people got scared. So that's my bit on that. You know? So we normally don't get into sports, but if you guys haven't seen before, Creighton suspended their men's basketball coach last night or today. It was this morning, actually. This morning, officially, they suspended their coach, Greg McDermott, for his racially insensitive remarks to his team. If you guys weren't aware, he gave his team a pep talk, and he told them that he needed them to stay on the plantation. And he even offered to resign. He admitted making the comments, and he totally just like blew it and everything. He even offered to resign. Cancel culture mobs coming for him. I mean, it was beyond stupid to say. I mean, I don't know how of all analogies to make. That's the one you're going to come up with. Beats me. It doesn't do us any service here. Like it's just I don't know. I don't know.
He said, stay on the plantation.
Yeah, he's like, come on, guys. Like, we all need to stay together. I need y'all to stay on the plantation here. You know, the season's still going. Like, yeah, you know.
Stay on the plantation.
And the thing is, a men's basketball coach in D1 sports, generally your athletes are black. I don't know what he was thinking. Right.
He wasn't, clearly.
I don't know what he was thinking.
I think it's immensely stupid. This guy, and I don't know this man. He sounds like an idiot. No offense, McDermott, but he sounds stupid. But I mean, like, I think intent matters. Did he intend for this to be like? I think he was just stupid, and he just said something stupid. Like I don't know. Like it's probably just a stupid thing where afterward he's like, oh, like, you know, if you like try and shake somebody's hand and they're blind, you know, you're like, oh, that was stupid. It's just I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe he shouldn't get fired or whatever. I mean, he sounds like he's gonna resign and it's going to be over. But I mean, I feel like intent matters. What did he intend by it? Probably not to be racist, because I mean, I think the players are the ones who should kind of make that call, not, you know, blue-haired white women on Twitter.
Wait, where is that? Where is Creighton? Yeah,
it's in Nebraska. I believe.
Oh, goodness.
I tagged my buddy Tom here because Tom follows Creighton basketball very religiously. If he can win here, he's been talking about this. But yeah, it's you know, it's a school out there in the Midwest. You know, it's.
I'm not surprised. Yeah. I guess.
it's in Omaha. You know, it's in Omaha, Nebraska. You know, just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
The middle of nowhere place out there, but it's a well-known basketball school. It's very, you know, like in the college basketball realm, it's very, very, you know, prestige. They go to the tournament.
I've heard of them. I just have no idea where they were located. Like, here's one thing I'll say. Even though I don't like cancel culture, because you say one thing and your head's chopped off, even though I don't like it, I think if there's one thing that people are learning, though, obviously, like a comment like that is stupid, and, you know, we can argue semantics all day long, but it's like, at least people who live in certain parts of the country who do say stuff like that all the time and worse, like, I guess at least they're getting a wake up call. I don't know. Like some things you just shouldn't say. Like, you know, is my life over?
I really
you
just
said
don't
that?
know. Yeah, you know, I'm just like trying to think, like, was he just like just going off the top of his head trying to keep his guys in? And I was like, I need y'all to stay on the like you could have said like stay on the boat. I need you guys to stay, you know, like on the plane. I need you guys. And I'm like, bro,
like his head went straight to plantation. Like,
I mean, even saying stay on the boat, that might have triggered some people. I'm just saying, you know,
I don't know.
That could have triggered people too if he said boat. Like honestly, like because words are so offensive now, right? Like
you know, yeah,
everyone gets so sensitive.
Yeah. Taken out of context only works so much. You say plantation, you can't really say that was taken out of context when it's talk about a plantation to black people. I mean, it's just,
right. No, you can't.
You can't be
like
no,
right.
I want to see.
You can't argue that one. So it's tough, and I don't believe in canceling people. I don't know what the heck he was thinking. I think it was boneheaded. I think they're going to make a decision on it. But you know, like
But like people who say stuff like that, like on, like think about it. There's people who, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, there's a delay. No, I was just gonna say like people who talk like that, like who say stuff like that, whether they're talking about Black people, Latinos, or Asians, or whoever. Like I think even though I don't agree with cancel culture, I really do think that they are getting some type of wake up call to know like, okay, maybe what I was saying isn't okay, or maybe like some of that stuff is kind of common sense, you know, like so should he like obviously when you read your employee handbook, right, you read how saying certain things or you're protected as a person with being an employee, you know what I'm saying? So like those types of things, like I don't know. It's like, where's your head? Where's your head?
This is something that's like people were saying, this is why we need diversity training, all this. Like, no, you don't. Like that stuff is for like the minuscule, dumbest thing ever. It's like saying mother and father's offensive now. You got to say like parent instead. Like that stuff's stupid beyond belief. But like this is also something that shouldn't, like, it's not one of those things that needs to be taught. Like if you're a basketball coach, you shouldn't say plantation to a room full of Black people. Like it's just kind of like, you know, get me. Like it's some of those things that's not needed. But this is unfortunately going to push an agenda. We got to have more sensitivity training. Like this is just beyond dumb. Like it's not like like it's just common sense. You idiot training. Like I mean, I don't know if that's what you want it to be, but like these are just wild out of pocket things that generally don't really happen. But when they do, it makes, you know, front page news, which is just beyond stupid. I mean, Donald Sterling back with the Clippers, you know, everybody like martyred and like made the worst out of everything based on what he said about Magic Johnson. And then they got him out of there. He was no longer the owner of the Clippers and everything. And everybody patted themselves on the back. But I'm like, well, what'd you do? Donald Sterling's racist. Okay, cool. Now what? Like, I don't know what the end goal of that was. I don't know what they were really trying to achieve with it. But they're like, I feel good now. Like, I don't know. You know, and I'm like, I don't know what these people want. And I don't know if you want to make an example out of McDermott. I mean, okay. I mean, that's whatever. I mean, I'd rather, just like Chris said, ask the players, you know, what they think they want to do. They play for the guy, actually. But
quick comment, real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember? No, we're seeing that like cancel culture is starting to become like more common, more popular. But do you guys remember when Seinfeld was on stage and he was like just like spewing like the N-word just for whatever reasons? He must have been drunk or something and he was just spewing. Do you remember what year that was? That had to have been like a long time ago.
Kramer?
And
it was
like
Kramer was doing it. Yeah, Kramer.
Was it him? Okay.
It was Kramer, and yeah.
He got a lot of heat for that. So
bro,
like,
no, he got canceled. He's done. Like he was done.
For sure. So that's my point. Like what I'm saying is that maybe,
and he's
I don't know, like cancel culture,
comedy, yeah, like, you know, and absolutely, like it was like stand-up comedy when he did it, and like it was bad. It was just bad comedy. Nobody was defending it because it was just bad comedy. So it wasn't even like getting canceled. It was just bad comedy. No one's like,
there was like zero context. Yeah,
no, it was just like
yeah, I feel like it's really just the intent. Like, what was the intent on this?
Yeah.
Like, The basketball coach probably wasn't trying to be racist. The Kramer one, probably.
Yeah, I think so. That was like, it was like he's up, he's just dropping it. It was bad beyond bad. And like, yeah, he never did anything again after that. He was done. And everybody else was just like, yeah, that was bad comedy. I'm not defending that. I'm not gonna be like, oh, free speech. Like, no, bro. Like, you had your shot at free speech, and everybody, like, the free market decided that we don't want to listen to you anymore.
Yeah,
that's what cancel culture essentially is, the free market being used, but it's been weaponized to just be an angry mob. And so it's not really just the free market of actually going after people and actually like setting down what's bad and what's good. It's just more manipulated by news sources and the Twitter mob and just, you know, the woke idiots at hand. But like actual stuff happens, like whatever it might be, if something crazy happens.
So is it new? Like, because that Kramer thing happened, I can't even recall what year that was. I feel like I was still in high school or something. So like,
I Googled it. It happened multiple times. There's one link from 2005 and one from 2020. So this man has a couple tirades he's been doing. So yeah,
definitely. And that's the main thing is like, it was definitely like, I watched it, I was like, yo, that's pretty malicious. I don't think about like being like fun, like that was malicious, and that's like a whole nother part of it. It wasn't like, oh, he was like made a mistake. Like the whole part of not canceling somebody is for them to learn from their mistakes. Like that man did it with malicious intent. He ain't trying to learn nothing. He's out there saying it because he wants to say it, you know, whatever. He's just doing his thing. So I think that's different.
So he did it once in 2005, and then he did it in 2020. You said, Chris?
I believe so. I didn't even open the news.
He's still around.
Oh, okay.
He could still
so if he did it in 2005, it's safe to say that cancel culture didn't exist that much in 2005. That's for sure. No, and then if he kept doing it, so cancel culture has definitely gotten worse. It's definitely gotten worse then.
I feel like personally, and I'll ask you guys this question. I feel like there are some benefits, a small benefits to cancel culture because, and I think when people are actually racist, you know, that's something that needs to be called out. People need to be called out. If you're racist, if you're sexist, if you're actually a bigot, need to be called out. But the negative is that people overreact. And so now people who are actually racist and bigots, and I'm not going to say, just for example, the Morgan Wallen thing. I don't necessarily think he's racist, but I don't think he's a good person. But when people saw he was getting canceled, they're like, I'm going to listen to his music all 24/7 because they are like, cancel culture is coming for Morgan Wallen. I got to defend Morgan Wallen. It's like, no, I feel like the first thing you should do when somebody's called racist, maybe you should say, let's analyze this instead of saying cancel him or saying I'm going to buy his album. I feel like there's just two extremes on this, and it's just no one's winning. If somebody's actually racist, let's all like look into that and maybe make our own decisions instead of saying like, well, the other side doesn't like him, so I'm going to go for it. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
It's just what happens when there's one extreme over there. People are going to push back the opposite way. You know, come on. We all know for every action equal and opposite reaction. It's just in the world of politics too. I mean, somebody's just going to say I've had enough. It doesn't matter what they said or what it's done. Somebody else over there is going to push back the opposite way just because they hate those people over there. They know they're a bunch of loonies, regardless if they're right or wrong, and they just do it.
Wait, so like, Chris, what's your like question? I'm trying to like, what's your like question about it?
It was basically saying like, what do you think about like the extremism of cancel culture? Because everyone on the right, and we're all pretty much on the right, everyone on the right always calls out the left. The right does pretty much the exact same thing. When people get called racist, a lot of people on the right, their first instinct is they can't be racist. The left called him racist, and the left called Trump racist. Trump wasn't racist. That's the process. So, like, what is your thoughts about the extremism? Because we always call out the left. Mm-hmm. There's also extremism on the right that I don't necessarily agree with.
Not too much, but the biggest thing is that like there's so much boy cried wolf with it that we don't know what is and what isn't anymore. So people automatically disregard it because people cried wolf way too much now. It doesn't mean anything. Racism means nothing. Call it racist. Okay, cool. That means literally nothing now. Thanks. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The word has been watered down. Like the word has been watered down. And honestly, like what I've always said before is that when I hear people say things like the Creighton basketball coach, for me, like we can call him racist, but when you think about it, like you realize that people do just have lack of exposure. And so like the fact that you don't have common sense to know when to filter certain things out. Like it doesn't even have to be on the topic of race. Like it could be like, I don't know, somebody's in the room and you're talking about that old people like, you know, smell bad or something. So it's like there's just certain things you just don't say. So like, but when it comes to racism, like this big scary R word that people are afraid of, it just comes down to ignorance and lack of exposure. So it's just like, I don't know. We don't really need to cancel people. We just need to be more open with one another and just make friends that don't look like you. It's not that hard. Like that's like, really what it comes down to.
I don't know.
It's not hard. I promise.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, like the whole, like, and it's simple like that. It's just that simple. But then we have people, well, they're saying, no, screw that. He didn't do anything wrong. You know, say whatever you want. Okay. And there's people that are saying this is why we need diversity training and critical race theory on the other side. When the reality, the moderate take is he was an ass. He shouldn't have said it. And he should probably just hang around a bunch of different people and just become like not a total dunce, you know, with his words. And, you know, maybe he loses his job. He doesn't, but like, yeah, no, you know, and that's how it is.
Let's grant people the space to be human is how I look at it. It's like when this cancel culture makes people walk on eggshells, you know, it's like, what can I say? I can't say anything. Like even as a person, like as a Black person, if I were to say something that I don't agree with as a conservative woman, like I would get canceled because of a lot of other reasons. But it's like, dang, if I can't express my feelings, I'm not granted any space to A, be an individual, and B, you know, be human. So we have to grant people the space to be human, I think.
Well, definitely. And we have to be able to talk about sensitive things. Like that's one thing people just, oh no, you can't bring that. Like let everybody talk about every topic. Now, whatever weight that they carry with their subject knowledge, or, you know, if they actually bring anything useful to the table, subjective based upon what they're actually going to say. But that's off limits. You can't talk about like, no, let's talk about it. I want everybody to have a seat at the table. Let's talk race. Let's talk race. I want everybody to sit down. Let's talk about it. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be, no, you're, no. Like, you don't fit the demographic. You can't talk about this. Get out of here. Like, no, that's not going to make anybody feel better. It's not going to bring people together. So it's the whole thing. You have to have difficult discussions.
Yeah, totally. I agree. And I'll make one more comment about it. Is that even when I get into conservative spaces, like I know people, I can tell people aren't racist, but I can still feel that lack of exposure. And it's like when you've got people coming from all over the country, you got people coming from, I don't know, like Alabama, Mississippi. And I'm not right.
Yeah.
Right. And so exactly. And I'm not typecasting people from those states or anything, but you know, wherever you're coming from, I know that if you're coming from some parts of the Midwest, I know you're not coming from a very diverse area. So like if we're in a setting and I feel that you have not had interactions with someone that looks like me before, I can tell. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we still have to be able to
no, seriously.
To find that silver lining. Like I can tell you've never had a Black friend before. Like if that's the case in big old 2021, like I don't know. Like you don't have to, but just at least like treat everybody like they're normal. You know what I mean? Like I live in super liberal
like just
San Diego,
being like being just weird about it, you know, like Indiana is like 88% white, and like people that are from Indiana, like, okay, that's fine, but like you don't have to like it's just like talk to us like people. Like you go to CPAC and like sit in the booth and talking to people like, man, brother, you know, we're gonna wake up the Black community. I'm like, what, man? Like, hey, man, like you talking to the wrong person about this, man. Like, with the work that we're doing, like we're way ahead of you. I love enthusiasm. I know you come from a good place, man, but like just talk to me, dude, like normal. Like we can talk normal politics and whatever. We don't have
exactly.
I'm like, man, what? Like, man, I was
he's exposing his lack of exposure, and it's so obvious. And they don't know it. They don't even know that they're being obvious. But what can you do, right? What can you do?
No,
just be like, yeah, okay. Yeah,
what they can do is donate to us here at Black Friday NFS. Message Mr. I or the page about it, and we will get you set up on sponsorship and getting this through, because this isn't free. It is awesome, but it isn't free, and we definitely could use some donations. So those of you watching, you want to help support us, please do. Thanks for that, Sneaker. Appreciate the plug.
Sneak that in.
So definitely. What are your final thoughts here, Chris? What you got?
Final thoughts, man. I say this every week. Don't trust the government because they don't care about you. These politicians don't care about you. And honestly, I really do. I'm very passionate about this. If you are young, if you are a young conservative or a libertarian, that'd be even better. But if you're young and on the right, you should run for office. You should run for office, whether it is, city council or you're running for Congress. You should run. Of course, there are age limits to certain things. You can't be 13 running for office, but you should be running. We need more young people in office. We need more young voices in office. We need to start getting rid of politicians that do not represent you, do not represent what you want. Stop having people in office for 40 years. They're not the best people. They're doing things that are good for them. Just look at Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, look at all these people where, they're going to be like showing you off their $1,000 ice cream. Go run for office, make a name for yourself. Go do this because the longer you don't do anything and complain about it, the longer that they're going to run the world. We have to make a difference. Just run for office or volunteer. Volunteering is just as helpful. But it's been an interesting week in politics and apparently in sports. I'm not a huge sports guy, but this stupid basketball coach, that was pretty interesting. But hopefully next week will be more interesting or less interesting, depending on what's interesting. And we'll see. I'm looking forward to it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll pass it to one of you guys. Let us know. What are your guys' final thoughts?
I guess I'll say it and I'll let you close out, Christian. Just for me, it's been an interesting past year, but I'm excited to look ahead. I feel like, honestly, you guys, a lot of the things that we're seeing, I feel like a lot of it is just a distraction, right? A distraction for what really truly matters, right? And that's just looking within and finding your purpose and, meeting great people and focusing on the positive. Like, I don't know. I really just feel like the more I go within, the more I focus on what's going right, the better life feels. So regardless of what's happening around you, the craziness, the media, whatever, like the peace of mind that you have when you just realize that you have the power, right? You have all the power within you. So that's my takeaway. And that's what I've been telling myself. And I hope somebody receives that. So, and thanks for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Of course.
Tom, you came in just at the last second, man. Sorry, man, you missed it. We were talking about old McDermott there at Creighton. I know it's a topic near and dear to your heart, but we just went over it and everything. Very, very interesting topic. My final thoughts here is take care of what's in your house first and mind your own business, and the rest will take care of itself. Gavin Newsom doesn't run your household. You do. Still, at the end of the day, you raise your kids. The government doesn't raise your kids. Get married, have children, live your life, be happy, be merry. Don't trust these people. They don't care about you, like Chris said. And, buy land if you can. Yeah, absolutely.
Buy land if you can.
Buy land if you got it, man.
Can we smile for the camera, guys?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. There you go.
All right, got it.
This has been another episode of Black Friday's Opinions Are Not For Sale. We will see you again next Friday. Thanks for tuning in. Until later.